Hey agents. I've seen a few comments here and there towards the bad stats and builds I've encountered among players in the Division 2. You're wondering why I cover things that you may consider basic and a foregone conclusion. I'm going to use this as a teaching moment to help viewers understand why some player choices and builds don't work optimally or function nearly as powerfully as they might think. Before I share some examples of builds I've encountered, I want you to know that I have absolutely no interest in shaming anyone. My goal is to educate, not put anyone down. Yes, there are undesirable players in the community who are rude, arrogant, exhibit poor character, and focus only on themselves at the cost of the team. In this particular video, I want to address poor build choices stemming from either a lack of knowledge and understanding or from bad or outdated advice. The examples you are about to see are real screenshots. I've redacted usernames and character appearances to protect identities. My focus is on providing educational value, applying the lessons of the Build System series, and helping you develop an evaluative lens to determine when your own build choices are not optimal. Sound good? Okay, let's get into it. I want to key you in on a marvelous resource to learn the fundamentals of the game. The developers of the game have been updating the tutorial section right here. Some of us have ignored this, so it's good to refresh our knowledge on how the developers view the many different aspects of the game, from character growth to effective combat. Learning these key topics is a far better approach than guessing your way through this highly complex game and piecing together your understanding from the different advice and opinions of other players. The tutorial section is valuable not only to new and returning players, but is ideal even if you've never thoroughly learned how things work and you're level 10,000 or higher. I strongly recommend going through each of these one by one. You might already know some of this content, but be open to information that might enhance your combat effectiveness, efficiency, and collaborative gameplay. Sometimes, after copying builds from either online videos or other players we've met in the game, we're unable to reproduce the same level of effectiveness and struggle to understand why. In this section, my goal is to help you develop an evaluative lens so you can apply the principles I've covered throughout the Build System series to identify why a build may not work in your own circumstances. With this lens, you can ask yourself, hey, is this really working like I think it should? Or do I only think I'm awesome on paper, but in reality, other players are actually carrying me? I'll walk you through 3 examples to show you my thought process and help you develop the same level of scrutiny for yourself. Let's start with something simple. In this first example, we have a player with a watch level over 9,000, and his build is a head-scratcher. The biggest issue that jumps out at me is that he's only sporting 2 pieces of striker. The way gear sets work is that bonuses start with a minimum of 2 pieces. Gear sets also provide a 3-piece bonus and a 4-piece bonus. The real power of Striker lies in having all 4 pieces, which grant the bonus Striker's Gamble, allowing you to build stacks and achieve incredible levels of power. If he had 4 Striker pieces, and also pieces in either or both the chest armor slot and the backpack slot, he could have accessed their individual talents for even more power. Having only 2 pieces merely provides weapon handling. Also, what many players may not understand is that anything less than a full 4 pieces, the chest and backpack talents will not be available. That is lost potential. What would be unfortunate is if he believed the powerful Striker's backpack talent was at his disposal, and he went into combat not knowing it was completely offline. Let's give the benefit of the doubt. 2 Strikers provides a 15% weapon handling bonus. Perhaps he needs it to improve the handling of his Pestilence LMG. But is it worth 2 gear slots? Not in my opinion. The named Eagle's Grasp gloves occupy only 1 gear slot, but provide plus 15% weapon handling. Regardless, if he doesn't want to use the full potential of Striker's battle gear, it's best to free this valuable backpack slot for something with a talent that would help him achieve his goals. If he needed higher RPM, I'd add a 3rd piece of Strikers, but free up the backpack slot for a different backpack. Let's move on. Overall, his build has 1 blue core, 2 red cores, and 3 yellow cores. Some players talk about hybrid builds. In my experience, it's not easy to achieve a best of both worlds build because the devs designed the Division 2 to force players to consider trade-offs. It isn't easy to bake your cake and eat it. I'm confident there are exceptions, but most so-called hybrid builds I've seen are only so-so with 2 things, but not superb at either one. I'm assuming he's using an oxidizer chem launcher, as I didn't have enough time to capture all the details of his build. In this case, the 3 skill tiers can help power that, but he has only 1 red core of weapon damage to bolster his Pestilence LMG. 1 blue core provides only a modest boost to survivability. So, what is his primary strength? I'll commend him for Pestilence that's max rolled, including damage to armor rolled as its minor attribute. And he's maxed out his expertise to level 30. And wow, glass cannon on his chest? If he likes the build, then more power to him. While it does amplify weapon and skill damage, his risk of going down with this build is very high. It's not clear whether he wants the Oxidizer or Pestilence to be the primary focus of his build. Right now, his DPS is on the weak side. Overall, it will take more than shuffling a few pieces around to either improve skill damage or DPS. Some things will have to be thought about from the ground up. In this second example, the issues of this build are deeper than what's obvious. While gear sets, such as Striker's Battle Gear, only require 4 pieces to gain the 4-piece bonus, this player is wearing 6 pieces. Functionally, the build works, but that is 2 gear slots that aren't adding additional value. You don't get more out of Striker's Battle Gear's bonuses beyond 4 pieces. Sometimes you'll see people run like this because they're trying to increase proficiency. However, this player isn't doing that because he's beyond proficiency. The evidence of that is the expertise numbers on all his gear, as you can see here. He has 5 red cores and 1 yellow. As there can be a law of diminishing returns with 6 red cores, a DPS build will be fine with 5 red cores and, say, 1 armor core for a bit more survivability. Because Striker stacks with the chest and backpack talents, it can become incredibly powerful. You're good if you remember to proc them with something like an ACS-12 shotgun, as this player has here. A lefty and rock and roll will do just as well. Other than the build being a bit odd-looking, the issue with this build goes deeper. The backpack here shows he's recalibrated or swapped out this minor attribute from whatever it was initially to hazard protection. But what's interesting is how low his Has-Pro is. You can see he's been spending resources optimizing his weapon damage. If it were weak, this would have taken several optimization steps, and that's a terrible cost. Next, his glove also shows a similar modification. Again, Has-Pro is weak here, and so is his weapon damage core attribute. He's been working on it and hasn't maxed it out yet. I hope he hasn't spent many resources on this because it's much easier to farm a better piece in Countdown. His knee pads here are confusing. Our colleague here might have been attempting a hazard protection theme, but it's clearly not consistent. The amount of armor regen on this piece is tiny. Now his holster. The skill tier here can help improve his drone and shield. Here, this is the first time we're encountering critical hit chance as a minor attribute among his gear pieces. I hope he has enough. His chest armor's minor attribute is red instead of blue, somewhat bucking the trend. And finally, his mask echoes the weapon handling we saw on the chest. Every weapon has a different degree of accuracy, recoil, and optimal range, something that the all-red, all-crits mentality often ignores. If bullets can't hit the enemy, none of your crit stats will matter, and your striker stacks will have no damage to multiply. That is why I don't mind some weapon handling, accuracy, and stability on builds. But let's look closer at one of his items. And here is a deeper theme I'm seeing after looking at all his gear. He's recalibrated minor attributes, but their stats are poor. Those stats come from his library. In essence, he hasn't sufficiently archived strong stats into his library. And with only weak stats in his library, the cost of maximizing attributes on his gear is going to be extremely high. Fortunately, this approach is unnecessary. We can farm Countdown more diligently. If I were to farm Striker's gear in Countdown, my goal is to get maxed or near max weapon damage rolls. Then I can recalibrate the minor attribute to the maximum of what I need based on my library. Or if I find pieces with, say, hazard protection, I can recalibrate the cores for max weapon damage. Using your library and recalibrating require far fewer resources than optimization, since they require only one step. If your attributes are feeble, then it may take several rounds of optimization, and you may run out of resources fast. So the flaw lies not just in his build, but in an essential part of his overall character progression. This can be a challenge for people who try to become advanced without first mastering the basics. If this is you, take care of what matters sooner so that it can take care of you in the long term. In this final example, a player has reached over level 16,000, yet the build unfortunately doesn't meet high standards. I want to gently warn players not to assume everyone with a high level is knowledgeable. I've encountered many who got there thanks to those 5 XP events, where you can significantly increase your watch levels. But some people have also spent a lot of time in the game, far more than the average player, and they brute force their way through countless hours to reach high watch levels. In a way, I have to respect that effort. Let's dive in to see why this build doesn't work. At first glance, the problem is this purple gear. Purple gear will still work for characters that are level 40 and higher, but the armor levels on each item are poor compared with level 40 gear. If you're beyond level 40, the days of using purple gear should be behind you. So focus on brand sets, which we call gold gear. Also, like in this example, there are gear sets, those 4-piece systems. And finally, there are exotics when they make sense for your strategic objectives. Next, there's not really a theme here. There's a modest amount of armor regen with a 1-piece bellstone, and some armor on kill with 2 pieces. But inspecting each gear piece, the stats are very weak and generally not worth optimizing, recalibrating, or even keeping. I'd recommend farming Countdown. The irony here is that I was recording this player's loadout just as he and I were waiting for a countdown to start. So clearly, this person can take advantage of all the gear drops in Countdown, but is still struggling to know what to keep. The player is sporting 2 Seska gear items. 1 gives more crit chance, and 2 provide more hazard protection. Okay, perhaps he needs it. It's not bad to have that per se. I also note that he's not using any of his gear mod slots. They're empty. That is wasted potential. Before you go into combat, do a gear check and make sure you have meaningful items, whether it's crit chance or crit damage. I have a video module on that in the Build System series, so check it out if you need crit guidance. Here, the 1 piece of Zweidaukka on the chest provides a boosted magazine size. That can help his AR, which is a shield splinterer. That can be nice. But look here. The chest talent is Vanguard, which provides bonus armor to the group if he pops a shield. But he has no shield. So how is he going to give the team bonus armor? Unless he doesn't know he can do that, especially as a level 16,000 player. That unused chest talent slot is wasted potential. In high difficulty situations, like dealing with the hunters in Countdown, you need every advantage possible on your build. This chest could have sported Obliterate. Also, the stats of this gear item, as you can see, are feeble. He's not dishing out anywhere near the damage that is possible. The 1 piece of Fenris will technically provide some assault rifle damage to strengthen the player's foundational weapon damage. So, is his assault rifle damage at all lethal? As you can see here, his shield splinterer defaults to 30 rounds, with 4 extra from that Zweidaukka. In other words, he's not even using the magazine that provides an additional 20 rounds. This player is severely underpowered for someone who is over level 16,000, and likely he doesn't know it. Let's look at his skills. He's using the Striker drone and assault turret, which are horrible choices in Countdown. And here's where I'd like to caution everyone watching this. Don't enter Countdown without doing some homework and watching some online tutorials and guides. The reason why you don't ever want to bring offensive skills like these into Countdown is that hunters at the beginning and end will hack them and use them to kill your team. Hunters are already highly powered, and there are several of them. It's tough to survive them if your build is underpowered like this from both a survivability standpoint as well as your DPS, or damage per second. If you add to the fact that they hacked your seeker mines, hives, turrets, and drones, and now those skills are attacking you and your team, you're in trouble. I've seen evacuations turn into disasters when players didn't research Countdown or try to use their skills. The problem is, they repeatedly bring skills into Countdown and haven't really gotten the fact that they got hacked. It just hasn't dawned on them. Please don't be like them. There have been a few times when I've brought a jammer pulse, not to use on hunters, but because it's quicker to jam hacked-friendly skills than it is to spend time shooting turrets and drones out of the air. This build doesn't follow any solid strategy. Unfortunately, the community and this player's clan hasn't helped him to understand the way builds function. I've often met people who play in a very tight social circle, but their friends don't really know any more than they do. I also wonder if maybe it's a kid who got hold of his dad's account. Hey, it's possible. In my video module, Talents and the Powers of 3, I advocate considering the impact of your talents on the weapon you're using, or active weapon, your backpack, and chest armor to help you work toward your strategic goals. Having 3 talents working and synergizing with your needs can be powerful. But he isn't using Vanguard at all. It's lost potential. Is there synergy between the remaining 2? Let's take a look. Having Composure on the backpack increases total weapon damage. As you've seen in Part 4 of Decoding Higher Damage, TWD is a multiplier in the augmentation phase. It helps multiply your foundational weapon damage. The Shield Splinterer has nice stats and has damage to targets out of cover as the minor attribute. That one is a keeper. Its talent, Perfect Optimist, buffs foundational weapon damage. So one talent buffs the foundation, and another talent, TWD, multiplies the foundation. But the stats throughout all the gear need to improve, and that's easy to do with friends or a good clan. Keep the choice pieces and deconstruct the suboptimal pieces. Each time you complete Countdown, you gain points that you can spend at the Rally Point Omaha Countdown vendor to buy exotic caches. Before we wrap up, I want to point out something these 3 examples all share. Each build struggles with low critical hit chance, like this player right here. All 3 fall significantly below the recommended 50 to 55% range, the sweet spot where every other bullet has roughly a 1 in 2 chance of hitting with critical hit damage. Now that might seem like the most obvious thing in the world to some of you, but here's what's interesting. Nowhere in the Division 2's in-game tutorials does it actually explain how critical hit chance and critical hit damage work together. If you've played other RPGs or looter shooters, that's second nature, but many players haven't. A lot of them are just casual agents who jumped in because the game looked cool, like me back in the Division 1. I honestly thought I'd have 3 AI teammates running missions with me. Ha, that demo fooled me. So if we start looking down on players who are still figuring this out, we become the same kind of toxic energy we say we dislike. We all learned because someone took the time to teach us, to share their knowledge, and to fight alongside us until we leveled up. Let's keep paying that forward and get the word out that there's a better way to build. I get that some players may look down on build mistakes like the ones I've shown you. I strongly suggest showing kindness. We don't want to become the toxicity we claim to despise in others. But the truth is, a lot of agents are brute forcing their way through the game and are simply unaware of how underpowered they really are. They may think their builds are working because they're surviving missions, and maybe some experienced players helped them get through. But survival isn't mastery. And that's not criticism. It's an opportunity for growth and learning. The Division 2 is far more complex than it appears on the surface. It rewards players who think critically, test ideas, and keep learning, instead of assuming they've arrived, especially those who stop their learning journey once they've maxed out their crit hit damage stats. We all start somewhere. What separates the great players isn't just gear. It's curiosity, reflection, and the willingness to keep improving. The best players I've met in the game are humble, teachable, and genuinely love learning. and they enjoy sharing what they know with others. So as you refine your own builds, keep asking questions, keep testing, and stay open. The real victory isn't just clearing content, it's growing wiser with every mission. And you'll find people in the game who appreciate that outlook and will want to join you on future missions. See you in the game, agents. Take care.